Hi, all. Welcome to this session on safety management. As we all are, very much aware of a safety management system, which is systematic, proactive approach to managing our workplace safety. So, when we are looking at safety management, it provides a structured framework for organizations to identify hazards, access the risk, and also implement control measures to prevent accidents and to protect employees, which ensures businesses operate safely and efficiently. So, in today's introductory session, we are going to cover the various fundamental components and goals of safety management, emphasizing that safety is a core business function and it is a shared responsibility. So it is very, very important for us to understand these factors and enlist them so that it becomes easy for us to also have all these factors in our mind. So, with that note, let me take to today's session wherein we are going to look into introduction to safety management. What exactly are the factors that we need to be looking at when we are looking at safety management? So, welcome to the session. And what are you going to learn? In today's session, our learning objectives have been classified as defining safety management and what's its importance in the modern workplace and the differentiating between the various hazards, risks, incidents, and accidents. How do you actually classify and find the difference between all these things? How do you explain the basic safety management processes and the hierarchy of controls? And how it is possible for us to describe the four pillars of safety management system, which is of highest importance, we know that, and identifying when we speak about safety management, identifying the roles and responsibilities across all levels of an organization and recognizing the value of building a positive safety culture, which is also very, very important for each and every one of us. So, the various pillars of safety management systems, what are the concepts which actually help organizations? When we speak about organizations, what are the various concepts which help from a reactive approach, that is responding to accidents as and when it happens, to a proactive approach which is preventing them. That is what exclusively safety management is going to give us the right idea about. So, is this for you'll have this obviously this clarifications in your mind as each one of us have when we look into safety management? Is it for employees? Is it for supervisors or senior leadership? What is the primary industry like construction, manufacturing, office environment? So, do we need outlining specific learning objectives, excuse me, or designing interactive activities? So, this is also very, very important for us to understand all these concepts. So, when we are looking to a safety management system, or when we are looking at an approach to managing safety in any industry, even for example, I would like to start with an example of aviation. As we know, aviation and airlines, which implement a safety management system, they are able to identify and mitigate safety risks which we know are exposed to during the day to day operations. So, when we are looking at all these factors, it is also important for us to. So, you now have an idea what are we going to learn in the first session. So, what is safety? we have just now seen a lot of factors which actually constitutes, or which actually, giving you an idea about safety management. So what exactly is safety? So as you know, safety is a condition of being protected from injury, illness, damage, or loss through the identification and control of workplace hazards. So, there is occupational safety, the protection of employees from work related injuries and illnesses, workplace health, wherein we actually look into promoting the physical, the mental, and social well being of our employees. So, why organizations invest in safety? So, when we look into safety, it is protecting human life, it is ensuring legal compliance, it's reducing accidents, and improving productivity. This can protect organizational reputation also. So this is all the factors which needs to be looking at when we are looking at all these factors, what I have just now emphasized on what is safety, and what are the various factors that we need to be looking at when we are speaking about safety. So you have seen now what is safety, the different types, occupational. We've seen workplace health. We have seen why organizations invest in safety. So, whenever we are looking at safety, there are various factors that we need to look into when we are speaking about, what is safety. So, for example, like when I'm looking at what is safety, it's a state of being protected from, as I told you, it could be a harm, it could be an injury. There are various types of safety. So there are physical safety, that is protection of our body from injuries and the various equipment accidents, environmental hazards. We've got psychological safety, what we look into, a workplace culture where people feel safe to speak up, report their mistakes, and ask questions without fear of punishment. Digital safety, in today's era, it is very, very important for us to look into protection of data, protection of identity, computer systems from cyber threats and unauthorized access. So, why safety matters? Because it protects lives. It prevents injuries, illness, and fatalities, and it reduces the cost, saves money, as we know, on medical bills or insurance, also on equipment damage. It boosts the morale of our workplace. Like workers perform better. The minute they know that, they feel secure in the environment. So, are you or are we looking for a definition which needs to be looking from the perspective of business policy? Yes, we are looking from the point of business policy also. So it is very important for you as business students and into management and administrations to get into the right perspective of risk and safety. So a safety policy statement, which is a formal commitment of top management, which outlines an organization's dedication to the workers' health and safety. It acts as a legal and cultural foundation to your entire safety management system. So, here putting together, let us look into the various factors that is constituting towards when we speak about risk and safety, which is the core topic of our today's discussion. So, risk is the probability or chance that hazard will actually cause harm, injury, or adverse health effects combined with severity of that harm. So, when we are looking at risk, the safety is also a part of it. The state of being, actively protected, each one of us, including me and you and every one of us. What are we looking at? We're looking at a state. of being actively protected from harm achieved by controlling the hazards and minimizing risk at an acceptable level. So, the focus, in case when we are speaking about risk, what is the focus as far as risk is concerned? The potential for danger or loss, safety, the presence of control and protection. And what is the nature of risk? Variable and measurable, like low, medium, high. That's how we look into the factor of risk. Whereas safety, it's a continuous goal or condition. And how is the action being defined? In case of risk, it is assessed and mitigated. Whereas in case of safety, it is maintained and promoted. For example, I would like to give you a simple example which will, make it very easy for you to understand the factors of risk and safety. For example, working at heights in case of construction workers. We know they a roof edge of 30 feet above the ground. So the risk is the worker could slip, fall off the edge, and also suffer fatal injuries. So the safety measure is, installing guardrails, requiring workers to wear the safety harness anchored to a lifeline. By eliminating a chance of a fall, safety is achieved. Data security. Another area. We're not just looking into physical safety alone, the office environment. Another factor in today's corporate world, each one of us are worried about phishing emails which is sent by hackers to corporate inboxes. An employee might accidentally click a malicious link, rising or risking the company wide, a malware function. We've got various safety measures like implementing strict email filters, which can actually force multi-factor authentication, and running monthly employee cyber awareness training. So the risk assessment process, that is also a part of our study in risk and safety. And today we've seen what is safety, and now let us move over to the factor of the reactive and proactive approach to safety. Like just now, the examples what I have given, reactive is responding after the accident, whereas a proactive approach is it prevents accidents before they can occur. So, reactive is a corrective approach. Once it happens, we are trying our best not to make that repeat. Whereas in case of a proactive, it is a preventive approach. You don't even want at first place that to happen. And reactive, it focuses on failures. Whereas when we speak about proactive, it focuses on continuous improvement. We're not just stopping or looking at failures. We are looking at even continuous improvement and avoiding them continuously. So there is a lot of difference between reactive and proactive approach as far as safety is concerned. So when we are looking at all these factors, we need to understand what are the key terminologies when we are looking at safety, when we are looking at various factors which we have just now discussed about. So various approaches that we have just now discussed. As I told you, we have got reactive and we have got proactive approaches also. For example, like in safety management, reactive and proactive approaches, they represent two different ways. As we have just now seen, what is reactive and what is a proactive approach. So in safety management and risk, we have got reactive and proactive approaches which represent two different ways an organization responds to hazards and risk. So the fundamental difference lies in timing. A reactive approach, which acts after an incident occurs, while a proactive approach, which acts before the incident can happen. So, a reactive approach is a response driven strategy which triggers after an accident like injury or near miss has already taken place. So the primary goal here is to investigate what went wrong and prevent that specific event from happening again. And what about a proactive approach, a preventive strategy, which focuses on identifying the potential hazards and mitigating the risks before an incident occurs? So, the primary goal is to anticipate danger and build the defenses in advance. So you have to actually understand in safety and in risk what is the type of approach that you wanted to look into. Do you want to go ahead with a reactive approach, or do you want to go ahead with a proactive approach? So that is very, very important. For example, the timing. For a reactive approach, it is after the incident. As I clearly told you, response after an accident happens. Whereas a proactive is before the incident, like pre-loss, before any loss can happen. And what is the mindset? Fixing what broke, in the sense like preventing the break as far as proactive approach is concerned. Now, what are the primary tool for a reactive approach? If you look into, the primary tool is incident investigations, and what we call as, most of the time you would have seen organizations conducting root cause analysis to find out what exactly went wrong, or what caused this accident, or what caused this harm, what caused this failure of a machine. Similar manner, when it comes to proactive risk assessment and safety audits, almost all factories, almost all organizations, from safety and risk point of view, they conduct risk assessment and safety audits to ensure that we are proactively prepared to prevent all this. And when you look into the culture, when it is a reactive type of a mechanism, you are compliance driven, or most of the time, as we call it, as a blame focused, isn't it? We try to put the blame on each other. We try to put the blame on our own employees or the employees among themselves. But in case of a proactive approach, safety first and continuous improvement. Your first priority is safety. Now, the cost. In case of reactive, it is high. The medical bills, the repairs, the fine, the lawsuit. But whereas in case of proactive approach, it's low because investment in training, your PPE kits, the maintenance, so the cost is also less. So with this comparison, I'm sure that you would now be knowing very well whether our organizations should have a reactive approach or a proactive approach in our organizations. For example, I would like to give you a very practical example wherein you can understand, would you like to go ahead with a reactive approach or a proactive approach? For example, chemical spill in a factory. The reactive action. What is a reactive action? A worker slips on a chemical spill, and he or she breaks their wrist. So the management clears up the spill, pays for the medical bills, retains that specific worker on spill safety. The proactive action is management conducts a weekly facility inspection. They notice there is a corroded pipe which looks it might leak soon. So that is the cause of this mishap. So they replace the pipe immediately so that they completely avoid a spill and any potential injuries that is going to happen in the future. This is a proactive approach. So that is the difference that we need to learn. Now, digital cyber security. For example, I would like to give you the reactive and proactive approach as far as digital cyber security is concerned. Reactive. A company's server is hacked and the customer data is stolen. So the IT department locks down the system, notifies the customers, and hires a forensic team to patch the security hole. So the company hires, as we know, ethical hackers to test their system defenses. That is the penetration testing every 6 months to fix vulnerabilities before real hackers can exploit them. So balancing both the approaches. So while a proactive approach is ideal goal for world class safety culture, an effective safety management system requires both. So you need to understand, why we need to look into both reactive and proactive approaches, a balance of both in our organizations. For example, you must be proactive to stop the vast majority of accidents from ever happening, isn't it? But you must be reactive when an unforeseen accident does happen, ensuring you thoroughly analyze the failure, so that most of the time you have these habit of ensuring that your all your proactive systems are stronger in the future. So here, that is why we are enlisting on the need for both reactive and proactive systems. So, do we need a proactive key performance indicators that we need to track at our workplace, or should we focus on how to move specific departments like our HR, our logistics, or it could be IT? So to build a perfect material that you wanted to have when it comes to proactive key indicators or specific department, whether it is HR, logistics, operations, all these things, you need to have the right inputs about your organizations, be very clear about. So we have learned what is a reactive approach, we have learned what is a proactive approach, we have seen what is safety, what is risk, what exactly are organizations looking at, and what are the different types of risk and safety management tools and techniques that we need to be aware of. Now, whenever we are looking at all these factors, as I told you, there are proactive and reactive key performance indicators, what we call as KPIs. Every one of us, for any organization, we have to be aware of these KPIs. For example, like for an organization, what is the training completion rate, like the percentage of employees who complete the mandatory safety modules on time? Our target is always above 95 percentage. So that is one KPI which you can measure as far as proactive versus reactive KPIs are concerned. Now, hazard identification reports. We know that number of potential hazards reported by our frontline staff each month. More is better. It shows an active culture. On time corrective actions. We know the percentage of safety worker or the percentage of safety work orders resolved within 48 hours of being logged. That is another KPI when we try to compare between reactive and proactive KPIs. Safety audit frequency, the number of planned work safety walkthrough which is successfully completed by the management each quarter. So these are all various KPIs, what we call them as, to maintain a strong safety culture. Every business, every organization must stop tracking the only injuries. That is what the mistake most of our organizations and each one of us as risk and safety experts, we do. We actually look into tracking only injuries, that is which is reactive, and start measuring safety activities, which is proactive in nature. So that is why it is important for us to measure these KPI to understand, are we or our organization or as safety and risk management professionals, are we able to get in the right balance between these two. So it is very, very important for us to understand all these factors. What we, just now emphasized the factors as far as, leading indicators of proactive KPIs like safety training completion rate, hazard identification reports, one time or on time corrective actions, safety audit frequency. Now, what about reactive KPIs? How do you measure the lagging. Just now we have seen the leading indicators. What about lagging indicators like total recordable incident rate, like what we call as TRIR? That is the number of work related injuries per 100 full time employees per year. If there are 100 employees, what is the total number of work related injuries per 100 employees per year? That is total recordable incident rate, TRIR. Next is lost time injury frequency rate, what we call as LTIFR, the number of lost time injuries occurring in workplace per 1 million hours worked. Then absenteeism due to injury, like total business days lost to workplace injuries or work related injuries. Then property damage cost, total dollar amount spent repairing equipment or facilities which are damaged during the accidents. So, all these are some of the KPIs that we need to be aware of. So, it is very, very important for us to understand all these factors that we are enlisting over here, and to also take into consideration what exactly are the safety and key terminologies that we need to be aware of. Just now, uh, we have just emphasized on some of the factors when I started with the definition itself. Like, what is an hazard? Like, safety means, the freedom from, unacceptable risk. So, workplace hazards, we know they include, it could be physical, it could be biological, or it could be, the ergonomic, or it could be psychological factors. So, what is a hazard? When we are looking at various safety and risk factors, understand the key terminologies. What is a hazard? It's a source of a potential harm. That is, it could be an exposed wiring, for example. And what is a risk? It's a likelihood and severity of that harm, like, shock from or risk from wiring. Then what we call as incident, or it could sometimes be called as accident, like, unplanned event, or sometimes what we call as, accident, which is classified as injury, or it could be a damage. Then comes the near miss, like, for example, no harm, but it could have been converted into a harm or an accident. Like, for example, like falling from a narrowly high place, but you narrowly missed it, so it didn't cause much of a harm, or it didn't cause any harm at all. Then unsafe fact, what we call as very risky behavior. So you have got hazard. So all these factors and unsafe conditions, working conditions, so all these are, some of the terminologies. So I'm just emphasizing on the main ones as far as safety and risk is concerned. Hazard, anything with the potential to cause harm, injury, illness, or property damage. And risk, the likelihood or probability that, this hazard can actually cause a harm combined with severity. For example, we have incident, as I told you, an unplanned, undesired event, accident, which can result in actual physical injury, illness, death, or property damage. Near miss, as I told you, an incident where no injury or damage occurred, but a slight change, in the time or position, it could have resulted in a harm. So these are all some of the terminologies. Then leading indicators, for example, metrics which measure the preventive safety initiatives and inputs, so that you can predict future safety performance, like training completion rate, number of safety audits. We've got lagging indicators, as I just now told you, which is reactive metrics, which can measure the safety outcomes and also outputs after, a particular event has occurred. That is the number of injuries, worker compensation cost, all this. So, hierarchy of controls and compliances. When we speak about these terminologies, you have to understand what is the hierarchy of these controls and compliances. A systematic framework which is used to select most effective what we call as risk mitigation strategies and other things. So we will come to that in the continuing sessions also. So I hope what we just now covered is very clear for each one of you. In the introductory session, we have seen what is safety management and what will we learn in this introductory session, what are our learning objective. We have seen when we say safety, what exactly is the meaning of safety, and how is it that we compare between a reactive and proactive measures as far as safety and risk is concerned, and understanding the safety and the various key terminologies as far as risk and safety is concerned. So I hope it is very clear for each and every one of you. And in the coming sessions, we will be looking at various other terminologies and definitions related to this. Thank you.